What, for you, would a present-day visionary politician in the UK landscape look like?
Well, it wouldn't look like when Wes Streeting said in the run-up to the election, the only thing worse than no hope is false hope. It's like, really? Did you really just say that? How about some hope, Wes? Maybe that might be an option. So it wouldn't look like that. I think it would look like, we had, like in the 60s, we had people who were political figures who talked about the future in hopeful and positive ways. Martin Luther King didn't say, I have a nightmare, and expect people to mobilize around that. We had Bobby Kennedy, we had people who talked about visions and dreams and things to run towards. And then after that, politics just sort of lapsed into this sort of incremental, let's just do everything in little steps kind of a mode. And actually what Trump has shown is you can just move really fast. And this idea that you could only move in little steps was a completely just accepted myth that we all bought into. And actually, if you decided to move and act like this is a climate and ecological and social emergency, you could. And we've just seen with the elections in New York, that actually when people run on a platform which is very explicitly about inclusion and justice that actually we can win on that stuff, I think. So, but there was a few years ago, after the 15M movement in Spain, which was like the sort of like the Arab Spring, but in Spain, and Podemos came out of that. Podemos did the most beautiful which a friend of mine showed me in Spain, and I've not been able to find it anywhere since. But it was like their manifesto was like an IKEA catalogue. Like it looked like an IKEA catalogue, but it had all the policies and the way that it was all laid out. It was really accessible, and it was really, really kind of visionary. And I don't know why it feels like now is so desperately the time for there to be a political movement that is setting out a vision of what it could be, and really bringing that alive, and just creating in pop-ups of it around the place and giving people that kind of experience. And maybe rather than doing a manifesto, you invite people to a banquet of smells where they can come along and smell the future. Maybe you have predict your future machines, but you start with that bit. You start by using, like in Bologna, the municipality in Bologna, which is the part of Italy where there's the most cooperatives. Most people in Bologna are the members of at least 3 cooperatives because there's so many co-ops there. The municipality there noticed a real decline of people being involved in democracy. And so their response wasn't just to go, oh, well, let's just make politics as dreary as possible then, to go with that. What they did was they created something called the Civic Imagination Office. And they opened 6 laboratories around the city where they ran big, really ambitious, really well-facilitated visioning exercises. And then the really smart bit was that then at the end of those, when people had come up with loads of ideas, the municipality would sit with them and say, that's a great idea. Let's make that happen. We can offer this, this, and this. You can offer that. Let's make a pact. And then in 3 years, they made something like 500 pacts between the municipality and the people. So people had that experience. And I think the other thing is that because what's important about that is it gives people that experience of, well, we imagined it and then that's happening. And you can kind of see a bit of that if you go to Paris now. If you went to Paris 10 years ago, you saw someone riding a bicycle. You wanted to sort of take them in your arms and take them off for coffee and tea and check they were okay, And actually now, because they've built the infrastructure and they're closing the streets in different places and the biodiversity is coming back, and if we need people who can act with that kind of level of ambition as well, I think. Yeah. And that feels entirely manageable to me. I don't know why there's this sort of consensus that actually there isn't any money and so we can't do anything. And it's like, but we find money for blowing things to bits, but we can never find the money for putting things back together again.
And it is also these projects that you're referencing the community is a resource, that it is the people who are part of the community are a source of ideas, of inspiration, of knowledge, of wisdom, of experience.
Absolutely.
And, that when almost all local authorities are understaffed, don't have enough money to go around for all the things that I'm sure they would like to do, there is a resource here that can help in achieving some of those aims. And then, as you say, give them the path to, so that it's not just, oh, I give an idea and I walk away.
Well, the beautiful thing for me is I think very often, we get stuck with this, but what would it look like? And somehow we have all these organizations who love to spend millions and millions of pounds on innovation, as if lack of innovation is the problem. Actually, the point is that we already know how to do everything that we need to do. The London of 2035 that is radically decarbonised has the food system that they're building in Liège. It has the cycling infrastructure of Rotterdam, has the super blocks of Barcelona, has the car-free neighbourhoods of Freiburg in Germany, etc., etc., etc. Everything and loads of those stories are in the book. Like all those things that we need to do already exist somewhere. What's missing is the sort of societal kind of excitement around it and the sort of buzz to make that happen. And that's the technology that we need to be focusing on, not, well, we need the app that's going to make all that stuff happen. That's not how it works. And so that, coming from the transition movement, which has spent the last nearly 20 years now working at that community scale and finding those social technologies that allow us to unlock people to step up and do things, create their own energy companies, create their own new food models, their own local economy systems. We know how to do that. That's not difficult, but somehow it doesn't it's not trusted by the current sort of political structures.
Yeah. Because the systems we're working within are designed to keep people small and keep people disempowered. And, this is a kind of really lovely, joyous civil disobedience in that respect.
And a playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I grew up reading a lot about the sort of situationists in Paris in the late 1960s and all that sort of be realistic, demand the impossible sort of stuff. And I love all of that. There's a whole chapter in the book called that we should ban the word impossible and replace it with not yet. Because all the things that we get told are impossible actually are the things that we need to do, really. And all the things we're told are possible, like endless economic growth, are actually the impossible things.
Mm-hmm.